So, today I just wanted to kind of give a general update on the entire channel. It's been a while. I did have those 3 AI videos that I did right at the end of the semester there. They were actually for a project I was working on with my materials class. So, I wanted to just kind of give you guys some perspective on where I've been the past few months. And because I haven't been able to upload a lot of videos in the past little bit here. So I wanted to just kind of give you guys an idea of the direction that the channel is going to be heading and what I plan to be doing. So I have the paint window up. I'm just going to kind of keep it as an organizational thing. Just to give you some perspective on setting up for the stream, I had a problem when I turned the webcam on. For some reason, it was just like really pixely and not showing anything, and I couldn't figure out what the problem was. And then I thought it was the driver or something for the camera. I actually completely uninstalled the drivers, reinstalled drivers, tried to update everything, and it turned out that the camera was just so zoomed in that it was only showing like 100 some odd pixels on the screen, compared to or probably even less than that, compared to the 1080, oh sorry, not whatever the amount you have on a 1080p HD camera. So we are just gonna do a quick update on how everything is going. So this is the channel update. By the way, this is the Jonoversary. 2 years ago today, I rebooted the channel, and to be honest, it feels like it feels longer than that. Like I feel like I've been doing this for like 4 years, um, but that is the actual date. It was December 15th, 2015. And that's when I did the first stream on this channel. So let's just go over kind of everything that is on this channel. So let's see. I'm just gonna list things out. So we'll talk about where I've been. And then we'll talk about, I don't know, the stock market. And I don't really have like a script for this. I'm just kind of trying to get all my thoughts out there. We'll talk about maybe tax. And that's, and so then where I want to go. And we'll start with that. So basically, starting out with where I've been, this semester has been very strenuous on my schedule. This past semester, actually, it just was completed. The reason for this is I had 2 master's courses. I do see a question in the chat from Leon saying, "Is this an anniversary of the channel being made?" No, the channel was actually made, I believe, back in 2013, or perhaps even before that, 2012. It was I created the channel in high school, and I made some videos. They're really old. You can go look at them. I have a playlist for them called Prehistoric Videos. But I actually revamped the channel and made it a streaming platform on December 15th, 2015. And that's when I really consider like the channel starting. I did attempt to start the channel before, but as opposed to creating a new channel, I wanted to just restart this one, and that's what this anniversary is. So the classes I was taking 2 master's courses and also senior design. And if any of you have taken senior design in any shape or form, you'll know that it is a large tax on your time and availability, just because you have to completely design an entire project. So this half the semester for senior design, we were creating the specifications for a drone that we're making, and the following semester coming up here in the spring is going to be actually building that. So it should also be rather tolling on my schedule, and we'll get to that in the last section. But that organization and weekly meetings and constant report writing, on top of the two master's courses and another just higher level engineering course for my bachelor's, really kind of ate into my time. And the problem was that I wasn't putting enough effort towards those classes, especially not necessarily. I was putting a lot of effort towards senior design, but the master's courses, I started to slip a little bit on them. So I wanted to make sure that I was putting as much effort as I needed to towards those classes in order to um, get the grades that I need. If you guys don't know, when you're taking a master's course, for it to count towards your master's, you have to get a B or higher. That's 80% or higher. So you have to make sure that you don't have any slip ups. And in my materials class, actually on the first test, I had this problem where on the test it was double sided and I only looked at the front side, and 50% of the entire test was on the other side. So that didn't start me out very well. I actually got like a 31 on that test. Oddly enough, I pulled that one back to an A. So I'm pretty proud of that. But in doing so, my other master's course started to slip a little bit, and I just skidded by with a B on that one. So I am very relieved that that semester is over, but I have an equally difficult semester coming up, so that's going to be interesting. But definitely with that heightened responsibility, it was very difficult to find the thought time, the energy, even just the regular time in in order to do so, in order to stream videos on the channel in a regular schedule. And I think that that's something that will continue. I don't plan on having such a long hiatus as I have in these past few months, but what I do plan is to kind of wait until I'm inspired to do something. I don't want to force videos out, and that's something that I've kind of touched on before, but it's something I want to stay true to. I don't want to just put out a video because it's Tuesday. I want to make sure that I have something that is worth the time and that I feel proud of, because a lot of the videos, a lot of the streams that I've done have been rather unrefined. There's only a few that I'm very proud of, and a couple of those are I do enjoy the SolidWorks streams, which I haven't been able to do recently, but that's something that I want to get back into. I was happy to do the AI streams in the past few weeks, and it's kind of a reason that I waited until today in order to stream again. Now that I'm on break, was I wanted to make sure that there weren't any newer videos on my channel after that for when my professor was grading my project. I didn't want to make it confusing for him to find those videos. But if you didn't watch those videos, the AI did fine. The AI did exactly what I wanted, but I was actually trying to create an FEA, like a simple finite element model, and the finite element model was not working at all. It just was going crazy. I don't know if you've ever played Sims so long that the characters start turning into weird spike monsters, but that's basically what was happening. I had this like rhombus truss, and the force and displacement analysis was completely off, so it was just going crazy. But the AI still did what it was supposed to do, and it optimized the score. So I'm happy with that, and I actually was able to write a 17-page report on how it didn't work, and I got a good grade on it. So I mean, any experimentation allows for failure. Usually, you try to not set yourself up for that, but I was able to show that it was slightly more difficult to do it the way I was doing it than originally expected. So I think there's some value to that. Um, so that's pretty much where I've been. I've just been pretty buried in the books, trying to catch back up on classes that I didn't mean to be behind in the first place. So I'm hoping that I will be ahead of my classes in the semester to come, allowing for some more, um, allowing for some more. What am I trying to say? Time and thought towards the actual streams that I'm creating. I want to incorporate a lot more guests into the streams, perhaps only having streams with guests on it, unless I can think of a specific topic that I feel confident talking about. This is something that I want to push towards either higher quality or higher reputability. Um, and if I can get both, that sounds pretty good to me. Because a lot of the streams that I've done in the past, I'll just think of a topic and I'll do a little bit of research on it and try to provide that information myself. But even if I do the research on it and provide links and whatnot, it's hard to develop that reputation in that specific topic if it's not something that I'm physically studying in school. Um, so it's important to me, and I feel like it's important as educational content to bring in people who know what they're talking about and perhaps have some sort of reputable uh, certification in that field. If not, just experience. Um, so that's kind of something that I want to push towards. So I'm getting a little out of order. So we're going to talk about the past portions of the channel here and where they're going. So the stock market, as you know, stock market season 2 has not completed, and so that's something that really took a hit. I wasn't getting too much participation in it. I did have, I believe Thomas was making regular changes, and James was popping in here and there. But as for the physical polls themselves, which drive the entire stock market, I wasn't getting a lot of participation. So that might be something that I put on the back burner a little bit until the channel has a little bit more of a following, because I think that it's something that requires community input. And so I don't want to just keep that schedule going if I'm not if people aren't enjoying it. It's just something that becomes a responsibility for me that nobody's really responding to. So if that's something that you disagree with, if you really enjoy the stock market videos, then please feel free to let me know, and I will reconsider that. I guess I don't know if we'll necessarily call the second season where it is. I did have a pretty substantial lead, but that's not to say that Thomas wasn't catching up a little bit, and everybody was still shuffling around. So I don't know if I want to just say, "Hey, it's over," but uh, that's probably going to be what happens unless anybody has anything wrong with that. Um, as for tax, I have no intentions of slowing tax down, although tax was kind of slowing itself down, just because it requires me to organize with the people involved. Um, but with if I am taking away the rigorous schedule of streaming, then it might be a little bit easier to work people in, as I won't just be doing tax on like Sunday or something. I could just do it whenever I feel like it. So I think that would be a benefit. And maybe what will happen is as I get more of the hang of my classes and whatnot, then I can figure out what kind of schedule will work for the time. But that's something that I have no idea how well I'm going to integrate into the next semester. So I want to make sure that I can focus on the classes first and then step back and say, all right, now I can work on the things that I enjoy as hobbies and whatnot. Um, So tax also requires a little bit extra time because I have to clean up the drawings and just kind of I don't usually think too much about what the story is going to be before I get into the streams, but perhaps that's something that I might want to incorporate just as something that would improve the overall quality of the streams. Perhaps I could just have like a couple options in mind, not necessarily like how we get there, but just um, some simple ideas of like what could happen in specific areas and where the new areas are going to be and whatnot. So that's something that I'm kind of tossing around, but if you guys have any suggestions in that department, feel free. Another thing that I just realized I didn't put in here, um, my game, Hysteria, that's an important one to me. Um, so, Hysteria, I do have free time now over the break, and I do plan on adding to Hysteria. Now, Hysteria, if you don't know, is a game I've been working on for a very long time, actually. I've been mainly working on it this year, and it was kind of a summer project, but I did have some aspects of the game that I initially made in just a general adventure game way back in the day. It was very, very rudimentary and duct taped together. So Hysteria is my 2.0 version of that game that I plan to expand significantly farther than that game ever got. There's actually, if you look down in the corner, I don't know if that's the right direction. Maybe it's that way. There's the character from Hysteria, but that is just a little icon that leads you to my channel. I just needed a picture that didn't have a background, and I was like, oh, I have a bunch of those for the character animations. So I put the little person running there. It'd be cool if I could make that a GIF of the person running, but it doesn't seem to allow me to do that. Um, so that's something that I still have a bunch of ideas, and I want to refine and improve that game over time, but it is definitely a long haul project. So don't expect it to be done anytime soon. I kind of, the whole point of the game is it's just supposed to be a bunch of stuff. And so it's not necessarily like there's an end goal in sight. I really wanted it to be something where you could continuously go into the game and explore a new area, and it would almost be an entirely new game. That's why we have like fishing, we have the communication, and so there's supposed to be like quests and perhaps some sort of vague underlying main story, but generally there's no driving story to the game. The game is just supposed to be an exploration and just general yeah, so I think exploration is the best word for it. I wanted to incorporate sort of areas that are kind of like mini games where like you would go to one section and it would be almost like a horror game and maybe like a murder mystery kind of stuff, and then other aspects of it where you are questing and trying to help people out, and just random stuff in between. But I don't want to give too much away on where I'm headed with that. I think it would be better if people just go and play it and are surprised. So that's pretty much everything for Hysteria. And finally, where am I going? So I kind of started touching on this before. Basically, what I want to do is up the quality and up the reputability of educational content. Um, in terms of quality, that's not restricted to educational content. So I want to um, kind of have everything thought out. When it comes to like covers, I might not be streaming those anymore. I realized that I don't necessarily have an audience where people jump on the streams immediately, especially because I'm not the best about scheduling them ahead of time. But I really want to make sure that there's aspects of my channel that are presentable to where I could be like, hey, this is what represents my channel. And when I look back, there aren't a lot of covers. In fact, I feel like most of them I'm not necessarily satisfied, just because when I stream them, it's just that one take. There were a couple that I actually felt so bad about that I went back and did a secondary take. And I know a lot of people will be like, "Oh, you can play guitar or stop complaining," but um, that's not me. Like I want to have something that like people could just put on and listen to, even though they're covers. Um, I've also been looking into writing some of my own music. I have some general riffs and whatnot that I enjoy on the guitar, and I want to start implementing them into songs. But there again, I don't want to just force them. I want it to be something that I'm satisfied and proud of. So that's something that's probably going to take a lot of time. Although I will say in the past, when something starts moving in terms of a song, it usually goes pretty fast at that point. I just need to get the ball rolling. The big thing for me right now is lyrics, and I haven't been able to think about that at all over the past semester. It's just been kind of relaxing to play the music itself, but when it comes to writing the lyrics, that's something that I have to sit down and actually think out, because I want it to be complex. I want it to have some substance to it. So that's something that will definitely take time, and I'm hoping that I can get in the right mindset in order to get something that I'm proud of over the course of the break. If not, at least seeding that thought process for the next semester. Um, so that's the music aspect. I've kind of explained individually where I want to go with the three topics above here, but uh, generally, I just want to perhaps have more edited content on the channel. That's something that I haven't really played around with too much, and it's kind of because I'm just cheap and won't go buy a video editing program. But I do have one that is fairly powerful and open source. The Blender software, which is actually a 3D modeling software for animation, has a fairly it's got a pretty nice video editor in it built in, because when you have animation, you have to be able to edit videos. So why not just edit videos in general? Um, but that's something that I'm gonna test around with some other programs, and perhaps even look into purchasing a program. Um, Other projects. That's a big thing. That we'll write this down as a secondary, a final topic. Um, I have a lot of other project ideas that are completely left field compared to what I've done before. Some things on the lines of like I want to make an internet magazine. Um, in that regards, I need to get back on the horse in the field of making my comic. I have really been slacking on that. Um, One, because of school, but two, because the art style I chose requires so much time. And so the problem is, I started an episode with that art style, and then I adjusted the art style to be a little bit faster, but I don't want the comic to just switch art styles in the middle of it. So it was kind of just overbearing on me that I was like, man, I have to go finish this episode in the same style that I've been doing before, where it takes like 4 hours per frame. And when I know I can do this where I could do like 4 frames in an hour, that's a big difference. So um, I'm thinking that that actually might be the situation. I might just switch art styles in the middle. And because it's only the second episode, I think that's fine. The first episode is even worse because I didn't clean it up nearly as much as. Oh, sorry. This is the third episode we're talking about, because the second episode is out. The second episode is the cleanest that I think it will be. In this third episode, I started that way, and it was going so slow because I was starting to try and add more detail into the background, and it was already hard just to put 1 frame in a day. Um, and so I think that if I switch to the other way that I like to draw, where the way that I have been doing it, I would draw the lines in paint, and if you've ever used paint, you'll know that the lines you can see it here, um, like there's so many bumps on them. So I would go in and I would clean up all those bumps at 800%, uh, just making the lines look nice, and it it was just painful to continue that. So what I decided to do was to I would sketch everything at a zoomed out distance, and then I go in and I erase the portions one by one and redraw them at a zoomed in distance. And so it's not the cleanest, but you can see that this curve is a lot more smooth than it was before. And it makes a lot more sense when you get with the smaller ones. So if you go to like that and you look all the way in at um, at like 500, then you can see that it's not it's kind of bumpy, especially if it's something where I had to like draw it like that. Then I'd have to go in and make it just one line, um, and it gets a lot cleaner. And when you zoom back out, it just looks like one line. But the problem is you can see that there's a lot of fuzziness to this. I think that's just something that I'm going to have to live with. And what might be the remedy for that is I could actually make bigger pictures, which wouldn't take too much more time, but I can just zoom out further from them. And at some point, those lines become cleaner, just because the actual pixels are adjusted around them, and it kind of smooths out. So I think that's the remedy for the comic. So I was talking about other projects. Um, yeah, so some things that I want, I have a business idea. I don't know if I'll be able to start that anytime soon, but that's something that I wanted to look at. And so I was saying that I had this e-magazine idea, and a couple of these I was thinking it might be cool to set up like a Patreon, not as in like, hey, I need money, but like I wanted to have a way of having a following where people would actually have a say in it, and the best way to have a say in it is kind of in like owning stock in the company kind of idea. So if people were interested in giving input on the actual product, um, then I would be able to see how invested someone is in the project by how much they would donate to the cause. This would also remedy the fact that I'm in college and don't really have a lot of time for a part-time job. Um, in order to, well, it's not that I need the money, but if I were trying to do more things, it would definitely be a nice motivation. Um, so I think that uh, that's something that if I could get into the mindset where it was my job, I would be a lot more productive with those things. So it it's something that's kind of a little controversial in some senses because a lot of people don't like the donation platforms and whatnot. But it's completely voluntary, so it's not something that if you want to see the product, then you have to um, subscribe to some donation platform. It would just be a way of seeing who wants to give input on the end product. So I think that's pretty much it. If you have any other questions on what has been going on with my life and where the channel's going, if you have any suggestions on where you think the channel should go, in general topics, guests, other projects, anything AI related, um, then please leave those in the comments. Send me messages, anything. I love hearing from you guys. Um, and I will be keeping you guys updated on Facebook about when and where the next streams will be, what they'll be about, and whatnot. So if you haven't, go check out the Facebook page. If you go onto my channel, there's a little icon on the right side. I believe it's that side, if I'm pointing correctly, for the flipped camera. Um, and there's a little Facebook icon. If you click on that, then it'll bring you to the Facebook page. There's also a Twitter page, a Reddit page. Then I think my comic is up there, and a Tumblr or something like that. I have a bunch of stuff up there, but to be honest, the Facebook page is the main place you're gonna see anything. I think also the itch.io page is on there as an icon. So um, I'm glad to get this all off my mind, and I hope to be providing quality content in the near future. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.